Have you ever noticed that the people who seem the strongest are often the quietest? They don't panic, they don't chase, they don't argue, they don't lose sleep over what others think. While everyone else is trapped in drama, fear, and emotional chaos, they remain calm, almost untouchable. But here's the disturbing truth. Nobody is born this way. The peaceful mind is trained, and if you fail to train yours, the world will gladly control it for you. In this video, you'll discover the ancient Stoic secrets used by emperors, warriors, and philosophers to remain unshaken in the middle of betrayal, criticism, failure, and uncertainty. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may completely change how you respond to life forever. The greatest prison on earth has no walls. You cannot see it, touch it, or escape it by running away. Yet millions wake up inside it every single day. It is the prison of emotional dependence. Imagine waking up in the morning and instantly checking your phone. No message. Suddenly your mood changes. Someone ignores you, and your entire day feels ruined. A co-worker criticizes you, and you replay the conversation in your head for hours. A stranger leaves a negative comment online, and you cannot stop thinking about it. Most people never realize that they have handed over control of their emotions to everyone around them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But modern society teaches the opposite. We are taught to seek validation, approval, likes, applause, and recognition. We are conditioned to react to everything. Every opinion becomes a threat. Every disagreement becomes an attack. Every inconvenience becomes suffering. The result, an anxious, exhausted population constantly disturbed by things beyond their control. Yet thousands of years ago, the Stoics discovered something revolutionary. Peace is not found by controlling the world. Peace is found by controlling yourself. And that changes everything. Because once you truly understand this principle, something extraordinary begins to happen. People lose the ability to disturb you. Insults lose their power. Rejection loses its sting. Failure loses its terror. Life itself becomes lighter, but how do you actually train your mind to reach this state? That begins with a story. Over 1800 years ago, the most powerful man on earth slept on military grounds surrounded by war, disease, betrayal, and political conspiracies. He was not living in comfort. He was not enjoying luxury. He was leading armies while facing constant threats to his life. His name was Marcus Aurelius. Despite possessing unimaginable power, Marcus struggled with the same emotions you and I face today. Anger, frustration, disappointment, fear, loneliness. Each morning he reminded himself that he would meet ungrateful, dishonest, selfish, and difficult people. Think about that. The Emperor of Rome expected disappointment, not because he was pessimistic, because he understood human nature. He knew people would lie, betray, criticize, and disappoint. And because he expected it, he was rarely disturbed by it. Modern people suffer not because life is hard, but because reality fails to match their expectations. You expect everyone to understand you. You expect fairness, you expect loyalty, you expect appreciation. And when reality disagrees, suffering begins. The Stoics teach something radically different. Expect imperfection, expect difficulty, expect setbacks. Then when challenges appear, you remain calm because life is behaving exactly as expected. This simple shift creates enormous peace. And yet there is another deeper lesson Marcus discovered during the darkest years of his reign. A lesson so powerful that if practiced daily, it can make you emotionally invincible. We'll return to that shortly. First, you must understand the foundation of an unbothered mind. The first Stoic lesson is this: separate what you control from what you cannot. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control and some things are not. This sounds simple, But almost nobody lives this way. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control aging. You cannot control traffic, weather, politics, or the past. Yet people spend enormous energy fighting these realities. Imagine trying to stop the ocean waves with your hands. Ridiculous. Yet this is exactly what many do emotionally every day. They resist reality. They argue with what already happened. They obsess over what others think. They demand certainty from an uncertain world. And they wonder why they feel exhausted. True peace begins when you stop fighting reality. Consider a man named David. David worked tirelessly for a promotion. He sacrificed weekends, stayed late, and gave everything to his job. When promotion time arrived, someone else received it. David became consumed by anger. He complained constantly. He lost sleep. His relationships suffered. Months passed, and nothing changed. One evening, an older mentor asked him a question. "Can you control the final decision?" David admitted he could not. "Then why are you allowing something outside your control to destroy your inner life?" That question changed him. David realized he could control effort, attitude, preparation, and integrity. He could not control outcomes, so he shifted his focus. Within a year, not only had his stress dramatically decreased, but new opportunities emerged. This is Stoicism in action. Peace does not come from favorable outcomes. Peace comes from focusing only on what belongs to you, your thoughts, your choices, your character, your response. Everything else is borrowed territory, and when you stop trying to govern borrowed territory, your mind becomes astonishingly peaceful. But there's an enemy even more dangerous than external events, an enemy living inside your own mind. And if left unchecked, it can destroy your peace faster than any criticism or betrayal ever could. That enemy is your interpretation, because events themselves rarely disturb us. Our interpretation does. Seneca observed that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think carefully about that. How many nights have you lost sleep over scenarios that never happened? How many arguments occurred entirely inside your head? How many fears proved unnecessary? The human mind is incredibly powerful, but without discipline it becomes a weapon turned against itself. Psychologists today call this catastrophizing. The Stoics recognized it 2,000 years ago. You receive a short text message. Your mind says something is wrong. A friend seems distant. Your mind invents rejection. A boss requests a meeting. Your mind imagines disaster. Very often reality is far less dramatic, yet we experience genuine suffering because we believe our thoughts without question. The untrained mind reacts automatically. The Stoic mind investigates. Is this thought true? Do I know this for certain? Am I adding unnecessary meaning? These questions create emotional freedom. Because once you realize that thoughts are not facts, you stop becoming a prisoner of every passing emotion. And this leads us to the second great Stoic lesson. Never react immediately. Most regrets begin with impulsive reactions, angry messages, harsh words, emotional decisions. The Stoics understood that emotions themselves are not the problem. Immediate obedience to emotion is, Marcus Aurelius advised, giving yourself space between stimulus and response. That space is where freedom exists. Imagine someone insults you. Most people react instantly. They defend, attack, argue, justify. But what if you paused? What if you waited? What if instead of reacting, you observed? Suddenly, the insult loses much of its power. You begin asking different questions. Is this criticism true? If true, can it help me improve? If false, why should I care? In either case, emotional peace remains intact. Abraham Lincoln famously wrote angry letters to people who upset him. Then he placed them in a drawer and never sent them. Time transformed anger into wisdom. The Stoics practiced something similar. Delay reaction, because emotions are temporary. Character is permanent, and there is one ancient Stoic exercise that can dramatically increase this ability, an exercise Marcus Aurelius used repeatedly during crisis. Few people practice it today, but those who do often become remarkably calm under pressure. We'll explore that in the next section. One of the greatest secrets of Stoic philosophy is surprisingly simple: negative visualization. At first, this sounds strange. Why would anyone intentionally think about difficulties, losses, or hardships? Isn't positive thinking supposed to make us happy? The Stoics disagreed. They believed that many people suffer not because life is bad, but because they become entitled to blessings they never guaranteed themselves in the first place. Think about it. Most people assume that tomorrow will look exactly like today. They assume their loved ones will always be there. They assume their health will remain unchanged. They assume their job, their home, their relationships, and their comfort are permanent. But life has never promised permanence. And when reality eventually changes, people collapse emotionally because they never prepared themselves for the possibility. Seneca advised occasionally imagining the loss of things you value, not to become fearful, but to become grateful and resilient. Imagine waking up tomorrow without your health. Imagine losing access to your phone, your money, or your social status. Imagine never hearing the voice of someone you love again. Suddenly, ordinary moments become extraordinary gifts. Your morning coffee feels richer. A conversation with family becomes precious. A peaceful evening at home becomes something sacred. Negative visualization does not make you pessimistic. It makes you appreciative, and appreciation is one of the strongest foundations of inner peace. Because the grateful mind is rarely disturbed by trivial inconveniences, a delayed flight no longer ruins your day. A rude stranger no longer destroys your mood. Minor disappointments lose their emotional grip. Why? Because you realize how much you still possess. Modern culture constantly trains people to focus on what they lack. Stoicism trains you to focus on what remains. That shift changes everything, but there is another reason people struggle to remain peaceful. They are addicted to external validation. From childhood, many people learn to measure their worth through the opinions of others. Good grades, praise, recognition, approval, social acceptance. Over time, this creates a dangerous dependency. Your self-worth becomes outsourced, and once your self-worth depends on others, you become emotionally fragile. A single criticism can devastate you. A rejection can break you. Being ignored can feel unbearable. Epictetus warned against placing your happiness in the hands of other people, because anything dependent on others can be taken away. True confidence emerges when your standards come from within. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your stress comes from trying to control how others see you? How often do you remain silent to avoid judgment? How many decisions have you made simply to gain approval? How many dreams have you abandoned because someone doubted you? The need for universal approval is a prison, and the bars are invisible. There is a powerful story about a young artist. For years, she shared nothing publicly because she feared criticism. She constantly revised her work, seeking perfection. She waited for confidence before taking action. Years passed. Nothing changed. One day, she encountered a quote attributed to Marcus Aurelius. "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." She suddenly realized that criticism itself was not stopping her. Fear of criticism was, so she made a decision. She would create regardless of approval. Some people loved her work, others hated it. But something remarkable happened. The more she accepted criticism, the less power it held over her. Eventually, she built a successful career doing exactly what she loved. Not because everyone approved, but because she no longer required everyone to approve. Peace arrives when you stop negotiating your worth with strangers. And yet, Perhaps the greatest disturbance people face today is loneliness. Many fear being alone. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels threatening, so they constantly seek distraction, noise, entertainment, social media, endless stimulation, anything to avoid sitting quietly with themselves. But the Stoics saw solitude differently. Marcus Aurelius frequently withdrew inward. He believed that nowhere can a person find a more peaceful retreat than within their own soul. This idea feels almost revolutionary today, because modern life conditions us to escape ourselves. Yet if you cannot be alone with your own thoughts, you will forever depend on external distractions for peace. The strongest people are often those who have learned to enjoy their own company. They do not need constant validation. They do not fear silence. They do not panic when alone, because they have cultivated an inner world rich enough to sustain them. Solitude reveals who you truly are. Without distractions, you confront your fears, insecurities, regrets, and desires. Many avoid this encounter. Stoics embrace it, because self-knowledge is the beginning of self-mastery. A man named Michael learned this lesson unexpectedly. After a painful divorce, he found himself living alone for the first time in decades. The silence felt unbearable. He filled every moment with television, podcasts, music, and social media, anything to avoid facing his emotions. But eventually, exhaustion forced him to stop running. He began spending 20 minutes each morning sitting quietly. No phone, no distractions, just observation. At first it was painful. Old memories surfaced, regrets appeared, fear emerged. But over time, something changed. He stopped fearing his own mind. He learned that emotions rise and fall like weather. He discovered strengths he never knew he possessed. Most importantly, he realized that peace had never abandoned him. He had simply drowned it out with noise. Years later, Michael described that period as the most transformative season of his life. Sometimes loneliness is not punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Preparation for becoming the person you were meant to be. And this brings us to another crucial Stoic principle: detach from outcomes. This may be one of the hardest lessons for modern people. We become obsessed with results. Will I get the promotion? Will this relationship last? Will people appreciate me? Will I succeed? Will I fail? The problem is simple. Outcomes are never fully ours. Effort is, character is, action is. But outcomes involve countless variables beyond our control. The Stoics focused intensely on process. Do your best. Act honorably, remain disciplined, then release the result. Imagine an archer preparing to shoot. The archer controls training, posture, focus, and effort, but once the arrow leaves the bow, factors like wind, weather, and circumstance intervene. The wise archer accepts this. Likewise, you can prepare, work, love, and strive, but you cannot guarantee outcomes. Freedom appears when you give your all and then let go. This mindset eliminates enormous anxiety, because anxiety often comes from attempting to control the uncontrollable. Do everything within your power, then surrender the rest. Few people understand how liberating this truly is, but there is still one final Stoic lesson. A lesson that separates emotionally reactive people from genuinely unshakable individuals. It is the lesson of adversity. Most people view adversity as evidence that something has gone wrong. Stoics viewed adversity as training. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, obstacles are not interruptions to growth. They are growth. Every betrayal teaches discernment, every rejection teaches resilience, every hardship strengthens character, every failure offers wisdom. Without adversity, there is no transformation. The strongest steel passes through fire. The strongest minds pass through hardship. And in the final part, we will uncover the most powerful Stoic secret of all, the secret that allows ordinary people to remain peaceful even during life's darkest moments. There is a moment that arrives in every human life, a moment when everything you thought was certain suddenly disappears. A relationship ends, a loved one leaves, a career collapses, your health changes, your plans fall apart, and in that moment you discover a truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Life is unpredictable. No amount of intelligence, money, status, or preparation can completely protect you from pain. This realization terrifies many people, but the Stoics believed it could also liberate you, because once you accept uncertainty, instead of resisting it, you stop living in constant fear. Most anxiety is not caused by what is happening right now. It is caused by the desperate attempt to guarantee tomorrow. People want certainty. They want assurances. They want promises. They want to know that relationships will last, that success will continue, and that nothing painful will happen. But life has never operated that way. Epictetus reminded his students that when you kiss your child, your spouse, or someone you love, you should quietly remember that they are mortal. Not to become cold, not to become detached, but to love more deeply, because awareness of impermanence transforms how we live. When you understand that nothing lasts forever, gratitude naturally replaces entitlement. You stop postponing joy. You stop delaying important conversations. You stop taking people for granted. You stop wasting years chasing meaningless approval. You begin living, really living. And perhaps that is one of the greatest secrets of the peaceful mind. Peace does not come from controlling life. Peace comes from fully participating in life while accepting that everything changes. The Stoics never promised a life without pain. They promised something far more valuable: the ability to remain steady through pain. Consider the story of Admiral James Stockdale. During the Vietnam War, he spent more than 7 years as a prisoner of war, enduring unimaginable hardship, torture, isolation, and uncertainty. Years later, he was asked how he survived. Stockdale credited Stoic philosophy, particularly the teachings of Epictetus. He explained that he never lost faith that he would eventually prevail, but he also refused to deny the brutal reality of his circumstances. This became known as the Stockdale paradox. Hold unwavering faith that you will overcome while simultaneously confronting reality exactly as it is. This balance is extraordinary. Many people live at extremes. Some become blindly optimistic and ignore reality. Others become cynical and lose hope. Stoicism rejects both. Face reality. Accept hardship. Refuse despair. That is resilience. And resilience is the foundation of an unbothered life. Because no matter what happens externally, you know something powerful. You can handle it. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe not without tears. Maybe not without struggle. But you can endure. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that humans are built for challenge. Just as fire turns everything thrown into it into more fire, a disciplined mind transforms obstacles into strength. Think about your own life. The experiences that shaped you most were probably not easy moments. They were painful ones. The betrayal that taught you self-respect. The rejection that redirected your path. The loneliness that forced self-discovery. The failure that built discipline. The heartbreak that awakened wisdom. Pain often becomes the birthplace of transformation. Yet many people remain trapped because they continue asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the Stoics ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single shift changes suffering into growth. Imagine losing your job. One person becomes bitter, resentful, and defeated. Another asks what skills can be learned, what opportunities might emerge, and how this challenge can strengthen character. Same event, different interpretation, different destiny. Your interpretation shapes your reality. And this leads us to perhaps the most life-changing Stoic principle of all. Your peace is your responsibility, not your partner's, not your boss's, not society's, yours. Too many people wait for external conditions to improve before allowing themselves to be peaceful. They say, "I'll be peaceful when people treat me better. I'll be peaceful when I earn more money. I'll be peaceful when life becomes easier." But life will always present new challenges. There will always be difficult people, unexpected setbacks, disappointments, and uncertainty. If your peace depends on perfect circumstances, you will wait forever. The Stoics understood something profound. Peace is not found. Peace is practiced. Every day, every conversation, every setback, every disappointment, every insult, every loss, you practice choosing your response. You practice letting go. You practice gratitude. You practice discipline. You practice perspective. Over time, these practices become character, and character becomes destiny. Imagine waking up tomorrow completely free from the need to impress anyone, free from the fear of criticism, free from obsessive worry, free from emotional dependence. Imagine moving through life calm, centered, and grounded, regardless of external chaos. That version of you already exists, but it must be trained, day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. Because the truth is this: the world will never stop testing you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Criticism will come. Loss is inevitable. Change is unavoidable. But none of these things have the power to destroy your peace unless you surrender that power willingly. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength, peace, freedom. They begin the moment you stop trying to control the world and start mastering yourself. Years from now, you will either look back with regret, knowing that you allowed fear, opinions, and circumstances to control your life, or you will look back with pride, knowing that despite every challenge, you remain true to yourself. The choice begins today, right now. Train your mind, guard your peace, protect your energy, and become the kind of person that no storm can shake. If this message resonated with you, write "I choose peace" in the comments below. And if you're ready to build unshakable discipline, emotional mastery, and timeless wisdom, make sure to subscribe and join this community. Because in a noisy world, staying peaceful is not weakness, it is power.